Why does this always have to come out of nowhere? It's really hot in here.
I can't catch my breath.
Why can't I catch my breath? My hands are shaky. My heart's definitely going too fast. My pulse is too high. My pulse is definitely too high.
It's not good.
I wish someone was here. No, they'll think I'm crazy.
Probably.
It's cold. Why do I feel so heavy on the chest? What are the symptoms of a heart attack again? Chest pain. Yeah, that's it. Definitely having a heart attack. My arm and muscles so tight. Where did my legs go? Oh, feel my legs. This is so weird. It just feels like I'm on the other side of the room. Unreal. Looking at myself. Unreal. Completely unreal. I really don't feel well. I think I'm gonna be sick. I wonder if these will help. This will calm me down. This is not a good idea. Smoking. I'll take some just more. Just in case. Did I overdose? Probably overdosed. My head's going to explode. Am I going crazy? Probably going crazy. What if I lose control and do something stupid? I hope no one sees me like that. I really don't feel well. I think I'm dying. Am I dying? Wait, I know this. This is a panic attack. My brain just messed things up and triggered fight or flight at the wrong place and the wrong time. Okay. I'm just going to lie on the couch, clenching my fists, and it'll pass. Always does. Nothing bad ever happens. Just breathe, relax, calm down. I really wish someone was here. Do I? No. They wouldn't understand. How would I even explain this? This has no particular reason. This is stupid. I'm so tired. I don't want anybody to see me like this. What if I get a panic attack in public? Everybody will be looking. No, I'll stay. It's safe now. It's safe.
Just like the lady in the short video we watched a while ago, scores of people experience various forms of disorders such as schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, anxiety, and depression. You are welcome to another episode, cherished viewers, of Daily Trend on New World TV Info English channel. Today we want to look at anxiety and depression, what exactly they are, because they are two things that happen to everybody, but then we attempt not to really know the differences between them and the things that we can attribute to them. So this is what we are bringing to you this morning.
Okay, so when we talk about anxiety, anxiety disorder is a common emotional kind of emotional disorder that affects anyone at any age. It doesn't have a specific kind of age that you are supposed to have this kind of anxiety disorder, And according to the National Health Service online, they define anxiety as a feeling of uneasiness, whether fear or worry, that is mild or severe. When we talk about it being mild, that is maybe you going for an interview or moving to a new place, or maybe going for a presentation or something like that. But when we come to an anxiety, that is the severe one, that is when we term it as a disorder. When it becomes severe, it becomes a disorder. But when it is mild, it's a common one. The severe ones are maybe kind of feeling an excessive kind of fear. Yeah, that is another kind of this one.
So in my view, anxiety is one of the body's response to stress. So when most people get anxious when they are stressed, and so stress brings a lot of anxiety, and mostly it is when there is a task for one to fulfill. They don't know the outcome of the task, and so most of the time they get stressed and they don't know how they are going to go about their work. So we have coming here this morning, there was a little anxiety in me because I didn't know how things were going to be. Yes, but if I wasn't able to come here to come and present, then that is to say that it has moved to another level. Yes, and so let's look at how anxiety presents itself. Yes, we have the social anxiety disorder. That is when one is extremely fearful about how people think about them, what people will say about them, the judgments that people make about them. That is one type of anxiety, and this prevents them from going out there, and then anytime they're about to do something, they aren't able to, because they have the fear that people will judge them, and it prevents them from doing things that they want to do. Yes.
Okay, so if we look at that, there is this one too, like we call it phobia. That's one form of anxiety. Actually, that is, it's also in different folds, especially when you take agoraphobia, like the fear of a public. So when you are going in front of a gathering, or you see scores of people gather somewhere, then you feel this kind of uneasiness. You feel so like it's kind of persistent and intense. So it prevents you from even walking through where people are, not to talk of even going in front of people to do any presentation or talk in front of them. So that is the one we call phobia.
Yeah, I also know a story about a lady, okay, when she was 10 years old, she was raped by someone, okay, and due to that, she was raped by a guy, okay, and due to that, she is afraid of guys.
Okay.
You see, this kind of event that she went through has caused her to be afraid of guys. This is a type of anxiety that we call the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Okay.
Because of this kind of event that happened to her, she is afraid of guys. She's very anxious. She can't be around even when she's even in public. She can't be around people because of what happened to her when she was 10 years old.
So if I get that one, it's like an event happens to you, and then as a result, like the trauma that you go through, as a result of that, then you start being afraid. So it looks like maybe she may even have this closeness with guys. She may even feel comfortable being with guys, like befriending guys, but because as a result of what happened to her,
they are not able to do that. And then we also have the obsessive-compulsive disorder. With that one, it affects your behavior, and so people tend to drink. They tend to do things that they haven't really planned of. Sometimes they stay away from people, and then their reactions they change totally. Their behavior changes. They overwork themselves, and then it really affects them at their workplaces, with how they relate with other people. So with the disorder, the compulsive disorder, it really affects people, their behavior, the behavior of people. So sometimes you don't understand a person. You meet someone, you greet, and then he doesn't respond. It isn't that the person is moody or something, but it is because the person is stressed. You see someone drinking, you don't understand.
It's some kind of
it's a form of anxiety. Yes.
There's this one, maybe you are an asthmatic patient, excuse me to say that, and every now and then it happens to you. You understand? Or you have this kind of disease or anything that happens to you at every now and then. So people tend to be anxious. Anytime you are there, you are so conscious of it. You are thinking, so if I'm going in public, let's say they say we should go and do sports as a student or as a group, a social group, and you are going on jogging or something, then you start thinking, wouldn't this happen to me again? And if it happens to me, how am I going to treat it? How am I going to be what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be embarrassed in front of my friends? So every now and then, it comes to your mind, and that is what you call panic disorder. So because of you are panicking as a result of what may happen next, what may happen at a time you don't know, then you start being anxious. You understand? So that is what we call
we also have the separation anxiety disorder. This is when someone is afraid of leaving the home or leaving the family to go and stay somewhere else. I quite remember when I finished school, I was really happy that I've completed school. But when the results came, and then I had my school, and then thinking one night, the day before going to school, I was thinking I'm going to leave my home. I've never left home that long before. So I was really anxious. I was really anxious because this is the first time I was leaving my family, and it kind of made me I couldn't sleep the whole night. I couldn't sleep, not because I was excited leaving the house to go to school, but just that I was afraid.
But I think the separation anxiety can also present it in different forms, because it can happen to everybody. As you are leaving your loved ones, let's say you are completing school or you are working somewhere and you are being affected to go somewhere else, you will be thinking, so now that I'm leaving my people, this sadness in you, and how am I going to cope the next place I'm going? You understand? So that one can, but when it becomes persistent, intense, and very recurring, that is where it becomes. So if it's happening to you, and after you left, let's say for you, after you left home, still you are not able to sleep, you are still thinking about home, like you become anxious and all that consistently, then that you have to think about yourself. Probably it may be an anxiety disorder.
So that means the one I was feeling was the mild one.
The mild one, because you were able to survive, right?
Because I survived. I survived.
So it was a mild one. So let us look at some of the causes of depression, because there are a lot of things that bring depression. We have the genetic side, where because your family member has already been affected with the disease, there's a probability that you can also be affected with anxiety. Yes. And so sometimes people say that because they say anxiety affects people through genetics, like it is transferable, inheritable. People think that automatically because my mother was depressed, I would also be depressed. There's nothing like that, though. Though there's a chance that cases like that may happen, but there'll be instances where your parents may have it and then you wouldn't have it. Yeah, so anxiety can transfer through genetics.
So that may even come to the extent that if not always, just as you said it, because if let's say it's from your parents that you can have it, let's ask the first person that had it, where did the person get it from? You understand? So it's not necessarily that maybe if it's a family member that has it, or maybe your parents have it, that you get it too. And there's this one, let's say you here, you are my friends, okay, and you are the people I live with, but everything I do, you guys don't appreciate it. You understand? Or in the home, you cook as a lady, or everybody cooks. You cook and they say, oh, your food is not nice. Everything you do, people don't appreciate it. They tend to be anxious anytime you are supposed to do something else. Because maybe, what are they going to say again? If I cook, if I wash, they say I've not washed well. If I do this, they say I have not done it well. So you realize that the environment in which you live can also cause you to be anxious.
You don't feel appreciated.
When you don't feel loved by people, whatever you are going to do, they are going to complain about it. You know, human beings, we don't like to be let down. Okay, we always want to be
people to encourage us.
So in a community whereby people don't really appreciate what you are going to do, it will create some kind of fear in you. Okay, and then we have a situation whereby you go to the hospital and then you are diagnosed with a sickness, maybe HIV, AIDS, diabetes, and all these things, and these kind of chronic health diseases that we have. You see, when you are being told, when you are being diagnosed with this kind of sickness, you tend to think, all right, and ask yourself, how are you going to live your new life? You are afraid because you feel like you are no more a normal human being. You are out of the world because you look at the life of people who live, who have HIV, AIDS. You look at the life of people who have diabetes, and then you tend to, overthink about the future, how you are going to think about it. This is a kind of this also is another type of cause that can cause you to have anxiety. So please.
Okay, so the human body is also just like a machine. And there's a link between the brain and some other parts of the body. And there are things that we call neurotransmitters. You understand? Those are the things that the chemical that they create that equilibrium in the system. So if that is lacking in the brain, you understand, or it's too much in the brain, it also causes anxiety. You understand? So that's what we call chemical imbalance. So it's not balanced because of the chemical not being enough or excessive in the system. It also causes anxiety. So
someone may be asking, how would I know I have anxiety? Because anxiety is something that some people see it as a normal trait, and as we are talking about it, there are things that happen daily. Yes. And so let's talk about some of the symptoms.
Might not even be aware of it, that he or she is having
anxiety.
Because you may take it just like it's normal.
It's normal.
To everybody.
So we have people who are sweaty. When you get anxious, sometimes you are so sweaty, and then you have tickles on your hands and then your feet. Yes, people go through such symptoms,
and such people too can have a nightmare. But nightmare is normal. Everybody can have nightmare. But when you are having nightmare excessively, consistently, and persistently, you have to think about yourself. Probably it is a symptom of you being an anxiety patient or something like that.
Sometimes anxious.
When you realize that you lose concentration or concentrating, when people talk to you, you delay to answer them, or whenever people are talking, you feel like you realize that you are out of the conversation, your mind is somewhere else. It can also be a sign of anxiety.
Tension. Tension is also.
So talking about you not being able to focus or concentrate, there was this thing that I saw somewhere, the lady was with her parents and they were dining at a table, and she was off herself, hearing voices in her mind, and since she's having an internal conversation, so to say, in her mind,
just like the video we watched.
She was sure. So she wasn't hearing anything around her. So at the time she realized that the father was looking into her face and was saying something. So she came back to herself, and the father was, I'm talking to you. She said, oh, why are you saying? So she's not able to concentrate.
Because of the
just
voice.
as all of a sudden she just lost her concentration again, went into listening to the voice, and she felt like no one understands her. So when you
Yes, that's also
consistently
a
feel like,
symptom.
yeah, sure, you consistently feel like no one understands you, everything
Yeah.
you do, like there's nobody
one.
that understands you, then you may look at yourself, probably is anxiety disorder that is about to
That is-
get
Yes.
hold of you. Yeah, sure.
Yes. So when cases like this happen, there are ways we can treat them.
Okay.
Yes, one way you can do that is provide yourself with self-help, exercise daily, and then make sure you are resting enough. There are some anxiety that come with restlessness. So with that, you may go to the hospital and get some drugs that will help you relax your body. You can, yes, all those things helps you to recover from anxiety.
One main thing we should also look at is medication.
Yeah.
You understand, when you are experiencing that, and we said you have to look at maybe trying to get a health practitioner to look at it for you, or look at it and say something about that. So after that, you may get medications. You understand? So medication is one key way of treating anxiety disorder.
And also, when you feel like you have all these same things, don't feel shy to talk to someone.
Sure, okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
get a counselor or a psychotherapist to talk to the person. When you go and see a psychotherapist, doesn't mean that you are crazy. No. You know, people have this kind of perception that when you're having this kind of emotional disorder and then you see a psychotherapist, that means you are crazy. They are going to send you to a mental clinic.
no,
That
it's
isn't
not
it.
true.
You can go and talk to him. Isn't that your what you are feeling is too strong that he can't handle it for you? He will help you and give you practical activities in order to do what, to calm down, in order to ease all those things that you are going through. So when you are having these kind of diseases, please don't hesitate to talk to someone for the person to help you with all that you are going through.
Yes, and then looking at it, we can prevent it. We can prevent anxiety. Yes, one way we can do that is make sure that we are exercising regularly. That's one way of preventing it. But you can, as you exercise regularly, it reduces stress, and so it prevents you from anxiety.
We can also talk about you changing your lifestyle.
Yes,
You
changing
understand? Because one cause of anxiety can be, well, you can even choose to change your environment. That's one thing.
Yeah, as you said with
so if the environment is who don't appreciate you, like
Yeah.
people don't
Building
appreciate
strong
you,
relationships.
so you can leave your environment and maybe change your lifestyle. If you know you work too much, because overworking can also cause you to get anxious. So if you know you work too much, maybe stress, so you change your working pattern to see maybe it will help you to not to get to the extent of getting anxiety disorder.
Yeah, and also you need to really sleep. You need to really sleep sleep well, and
Get
then
enough
get
rest.
a lot of rest, because you know when you rest, it makes the brain work. When you are asleep, okay? It makes the body also relax when you are asleep. So when you have all these things, please make sure that you take enough rest.
Okay, so we would want to go for a short commercial break, though the discussion is getting interesting. Don't worry, when we come back, you're going to talk about depression. Yes. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. We are back, going to talk about depression at this segment, and then we want to see people usually misinterchange anxiety with depression, and so we want to look at depression and what it contains, so that when you are depressed, you know you are depressed. When you are anxious, you know you are anxious. Anxiety usually has to do with being stressed, but depression has to do with you having a feeling of loneliness, not being loved. That is all about depression. And so stay tuned and try to enjoy this section.
Okay,
Yes.
so when we talk about depression, depression is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and the way you act. Okay, so it's like a kind of medical illness that when you are there, and then you begin to feel like the way you begin to act, it's kind of different from a normal human being. We all know how a normal human being acts, right? And so when you begin to feel like you are moving off the course, the way you feel is off the course, the way you think is out of it, then you should know that you are being depressed.
Okay, so it can also be any of the illnesses, any illness that you have, and then it prevents you from behaving just like a normal person behaves. You understand? So it affects your functioning. That's your mental function and your physical functioning. Because depression can make you actually feel sad. You understand? So a persistent feeling of sadness is also depression. It's a sign of being depressed. So depression leads to this feeling of sadness, loneliness as you mentioned, and then the others. So
loss of interest.
And this depression actually presents itself in different folds, different phases of depression. So some people may have it like the feeling you have, as in you are depressed, like you feel this lonely, you feel this hopeless, like me, there's nothing that will work for me, and those kind of things. Sometimes it's mild.
All right.
Okay, sometimes it's low, and for the same person, sometimes it's very high.
Yeah.
You understand? So that one you refer to it as a bipolar depression. So it happens low, and sometimes it gets high. So when it's happening like that, then you know that you are on the verge of getting depressed.
Yeah. And also we have, guys, please, okay, when you're with your lady and then you begin to feel that the lady is acting in a way that maybe some days ago she wasn't acting that way, it's a kind of depression, okay? We call it the premenstrual dysphoric disorder, okay? It's PMDD. So when you feel like your lady is going through these things, don't get angry at her, don't try to shout at her or anything. It's a kind of disorder, and it's not a severe one.
It's normal.
It's a mild one. It will go away after she
It's just nice you touched on ladies. So let me go into this immediately. There is this one too in women when they are pregnant before they give birth. Actually, as you said early on, anxiety can lead to depression.
Anxiety leads to depression.
So when you are pregnant and at a stage of your pregnancy, you start thinking, how is the delivery going to be? Or some people, the time is due, you feel like you are in the 9th month, but you go to the hospital and they tell you, no, you still have some time to go. They start getting anxious. And too much of anxiety will lead to depression. And that kind of depression is perinatal or postpartum depression. That is, before you give birth, that kind of depression may affect you because of you being so anxious. Or after delivery, some months after you deliver, it's also continuous like that. So that's the postpartum depression.
You're talking about a high level of depression that is called the persistent depressive disorder. With that one, you're not just depressed, it's consistent. Sometimes depression, it's not something that it's not always there. You get depressed for some time and then you recover, but there are some people it's persistent. It's a lifetime something. So every time they are depressed, that is called the persistent depressive disorder.
You see, and we have one also that we call seasonal affective disorder. That is SAD for short. Okay, that is when maybe you realize that in winter you feel restless, you can't sleep, you feel fat, you become fat, and then you become depressed and anxious in that season. But when we enter into spring, you feel okay, everything is fine. That's that is also a type of depression. But that kind of depression is not that kind of severe. It is more because
when the season changes,
it goes through seasons.
Okay, so we can even look at someone maybe during Harmattan, you have a dry skin. You understand? Like some people have dry skin normally. So when the Harmattan comes like that, it happens to get worse. You understand? So maybe you'll be thinking, how people be looking at my skin? How will I look at when this Harmattan comes again? So that anxiety of how it happens as the Harmattan is coming can also lead to depression, which will be the seasonal depression, as you made mention of.
And you also have the psychotic depression. Okay, this kind of depression that comes with hallucinations. Okay, I can't remember when we were in SHS. Okay, before we came there, they told us that when you wake up at dawn, you hear this old lady coming to knock on the door and then mentioning your name. True. So this actually prevented students from waking up at dawn to learn because of this thing that they had. They were depressed. They were depressed. They were thinking that, and students who actually didn't believe, but because of the stories that they heard, when they wake up at dawn, you hear them making noise that, someone is knocking on the door, but you go and see there is no one there. Wow. But because of the thing, the kind of fear that they place in them, they are being depressed, that they can't even concentrate, they can't even stand up and learn at dawn. Because
what did you call that again? Psychopathic or what?
Yeah, they call it a psychotic disorder.
Okay, that's psychotic disorder. That goes into the mind.
Yeah, it has to do with hallucinations.
So looking at some of the causes of depression is not though it's different from anxiety, there are some things that makes it quite different from. Yes, though some people mistake it, there are some things that make them quite. And then looking at that, we have the medical issues, as you talked about, medical condition.
Yeah.
So if someone has HIV like this, the stigma that comes with it can make the person depressed. The person can be there and then will be thinking, like, how will I relate to people? How people are treating the person can make the person stay away. It can bring loneliness, and then it would really affect the person's life. And so medical conditions, diabetes, we have like corona like this. If they hear you have corona right now, the stigma, how people wouldn't want to get close to you, all those get people depressed, and then
and some people to their work can get them depressed.
Work.
You understand? Yeah, so let's say you are employed, and the number of days you work gets, like, it takes over your whole body, like your work takes over you. You understand? So let's say we take the instead of COVID-19, where you are a nurse, and then you at your hospital you treat, let's say 5 or 20 people a day. You understand? So I get to a point, you are now going to treat like 20 people, hundreds of people in a short period of time. You get so depressed because, like, it's getting over.
It's like you have too much things to do in a limited time.
And all those kind of things, or the effect that it may lead to, can also get you depressed.
And also sometimes, some kind of life event, for example, losing a loved one, can really get people depressed.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, maybe you are very close to someone and then the person dies and leaves you. It can really let you be depressed. And then we also have, when people lose loved one, they become depressed, and then therefore thinking that maybe in order for me to get away from my depression life a little bit, I'll decide to maybe go into alcoholic way, taking in alcohol and then taking in drugs, thinking that thing will, prevent their problems. But quite on the contrary, those things increase the depression the more. So some medications that we take, just like the drugs, the alcohol and all those things, they are not good at all, because they really increase the depression. They don't break them down at all.
And then also we have the genetic side as the anxiety. It can be transferred genetically.
Yeah.
And with people you relate with, when you usually relate with people who are depressed, there's a probability that you'd also be depressed. And so when you're among such people, you have to know how you handle yourself, because it's inherent.
Yeah.
It's inherent.
Okay, so just like we mentioned the environment too, for people who get anxious. So when you have this kind of anxiety in you due to the environment, your surrounding, it's best that you quit. Like you get yourself out of that situation.
Yeah.
If you don't leave that environment, it could lead to depression, because that is a deepest part of you getting anxious.
Yeah.
You understand? So when you are getting this anxiety in you as a result of your environment or the social class, the social group that you are among, it's best that you leave that place. If not, it may lead to depression.
Yeah, and also, we have the behavioral thoughts, though you might have this kind of symptoms, but it kind of brings some kind of causes onto the individual, just as my brother said before. You see, using the lady, she's there, she's having this kind of thoughts in her head, this kind of thoughts, they are speaking to her, she's not concentrating and all those, and then all of a sudden she goes to stand beside the window, and then she died. So when you have this kind of depression disorder, you begin to have these kind of suicidal thoughts in your head. You feel like your behavior changes even when someone comes to you and the person wants to talk to you, because of how you feel. You don't try to talk to the person in a good way, but you talk to the person in your depressed way.
Beside the behavior type, we also have the mood. It affects mood. There's some people, they are always angry for nothing. You should try and get closer to them and find out what is wrong. It could be they are depressed. So depression brings anger.
As you talk about this anger and the mood, there was this man that he went to work, and as a result, he just went and he got fired. You understand? So he got home and wasn't willing to talk. Then the wife was questioning her, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And all of a sudden, he started shouting at the woman. I said, I'm fine. Get away. So you realize that he's depressed as a result of he losing the job.
Yeah.
You understand? So that can affect your mood. And if you don't take care, like, and you see someone behaving as such, you don't have to start judging the person, because it's maybe as a result of he getting depressed. It's rather best for you to start seeking help for the person rather than maybe judging them. And if you yourself, you realize that no, you are having this change in mood.
Yeah.
You understand? Like, you don't get this, you are not this choleric person, but all of a sudden you start getting angry at a point in time, then you realize that no, this may be as a result of depression. Exactly.
Yeah. So when you are there and then you feel sad, you feel very worried, you feel angry, these are all signs of depression.
And then it changes your sleep pattern also. Yeah. Sometimes you become restless, you can't sleep. Yes, when you're depressed, and then you realize it's consistent, then it could be you are depressed, so you need to seek help.
You need to seek help. And then when you are there and then you realize that you lose concentration, you can't concentrate when someone is talking to you, it's also a sign that you are being depressed. You need help immediately.
Yeah, sure. So as we are talking about the help, that is one treatment pattern of it. So if you know you are feeling all this kind of thing, they have to start looking for a medical practitioner that may look out for what is exactly happening to you. If it's depression, then maybe medically they can start doing something about it for you.
Yeah. And also, you can also see a counselor. Okay, when you are being depressed, please, you can go ahead and see a counselor to talk to the person. Anytime. The counselor is a professional one. He has various ways. You can't solve this problem on your own. Go out there, you can search for a counselor online, and then try to share your problems with the person. You are not burdening the person. You are rather easing the pain that you have.
Exactly. As you talk about burdening, there are some people who feel like if I have it and I go to someone to talk to the person, maybe I'm disturbing the person. Some people, as a result of depression, as the man I talked about a while ago, the wife was like, no, he should go and talk to someone. You understand? And he was like, no, I don't need anyone's help.
Okay.
You get it? So the depression is leading the person to
think he can do everything.
And there's one thing too, some myths. Some people feel like depression is not curable, like no one can cure it. There's actually data that 70% of people who get depressed get cured of it.
Sure.
Yeah, so we've come to I've really enjoyed myself. Sadly, we've come to the end of today's show, and I'm really sad because I'm really enjoying the conversation. I've really learned a lot, and I hope you have too. So please don't forget to follow us on Facebook on the Daily Trend at Daily Trend TDT, and then on YouTube at New World TV, the Daily Trend playlist. And this program is being aired on Tuesdays and Fridays at 8:15 a.m. and then 4:15 p.m. and it's being repeated on Saturday at the same time. Please, as we said, when you are feeling this kind of disorders, don't hesitate to talk to someone. Don't hesitate to go for these treatments, because as you are going through these things at its early stage, when you don't take care, it is going to get to its mild stage and it will become incurable. Depression and anxiety can be prevented. It can be treated. So please make sure you seek help. Goodbye and take care of yourself.